Have you ever felt like the world moved on without you, leaving you hidden in the shadows while everyone else around you seemed to find their path to success? Welcome to RationalDeen. I am so glad you are here today because we are uncovering a profound truth that will change the way you perceive your current struggle. You are going to learn so much throughout this video about the power of your hidden season and why the very people who thought you were forgotten are about to witness a divine shift they never saw coming. Being hidden is not a punishment but a strategic placement designed for your ultimate protection. When you feel invisible to the world, you are actually being shielded from influences and distractions that could corrupt your purpose before you are strong enough to carry it. This period of isolation is a divine filter, removing the people and habits that cannot follow you into the next level of your life. While it feels like you have been left behind, you are actually being set apart for a specific mission that requires a depth of spirit that cannot be developed in a crowd. The experience of the divine cave is a place of profound internal construction where the noise of the world is finally silenced. It is in this stillness that you begin to hear the direction of your higher calling with absolute clarity, free from the opinions of those who do not understand your journey. This season feels like loneliness to the natural mind, but in the spiritual realm, it is the most intense period of intimacy and training you will ever undergo. You are learning to rely on internal strength rather than external validation, which is the hallmark of a true leader. Man's rejection is often the very tool used to separate you from paths and partnerships that were never intended for your future. While those around you may interpret your absence as a sign of failure or stagnation, the universe views it as a necessary pruning process. Every door that closed and every person who walked away was simply making room for the massive expansion that is coming. You are being refined in a way that requires privacy, ensuring that when you finally step out, your character is strong enough to sustain your success. In this season of obscurity, your spiritual and emotional roots are growing deeper into the ground than ever before. Just as a skyscraper cannot reach great heights without a foundation that remains completely unseen, your time in the shadows is creating the essential stability needed for your elevation. The depth of your current struggle is directly proportional to the height of the platform you are about to step onto. Every silent tear and every moment of doubt is being recorded and converted into the fuel that will power your upcoming breakthrough. Eventually, the period of hiddenness must come to an end, but the person who emerges from that season is never the same as the one who entered. You are being forged into a version of yourself that is resilient, wise, and completely unshakable. The world may have thought you were forgotten, but you are actually being prepared for a reveal that will leave everyone in awe. This is the final stage of your preparation, and the transformation you have undergone in the dark is about to be displayed in the light for all to see. Even when life seems completely stagnant and the silence feels deafening, there is an invisible movement happening beneath the surface of your reality. Just because you cannot see the blueprint or hear the hammer hitting the nail does not mean the work has stopped. Every delay you experience is a deliberate step in the construction of your destiny. The silent architect is moving pieces into place that you didn't even know existed, orchestrating a sequence of events that will eventually converge into a single moment of total victory. Trusting the process requires a radical shift in perspective, moving away from a need for constant evidence and toward a state of internal knowing. You must believe that the silence of the heavens is not an absence of action, but rather a sign of intense focus on the intricate details of your life. While you are waiting, the universe is busy arranging the resources, the connections, and the opportunities that will be ready for you at the exact moment of your manifestation. Your only job right now is to remain faithful to the work being done within you. The shock factor is born out of this period of intense silence and hidden work. When progress is made in secret, the eventual manifestation is so sudden and so profound that it leaves those who doubted you in a state of absolute disbelief. They will have no context for your growth because they weren't there for the struggle, which makes your success look like an overnight miracle to them. This is how the architect works, preparing you in private so that your public appearance changes the entire atmosphere of your environment. Every piece of the puzzle is being moved into place right now. Even the parts of your life that currently feel like setbacks or mistakes. The silent architect uses your pain, your waiting, and your patience as raw materials to create a masterpiece that will eventually speak for itself without you having to say a word. You don't need to shout about your plans or prove your worth to anyone while you are in the middle of the building phase. The quality of the finished product will be all the evidence the world needs to see that you were never truly alone. You are being prepared for a grand reveal that requires no explanation and no apology. The work done in the dark is designed to shine so brightly that it validates every second of your silence and every moment you felt overlooked. When the curtain finally rises, it will be clear to everyone that the architect was never idle for a single moment. Your life is becoming a living testimony to the fact that being forgotten by man is often the surest sign that you are being meticulously prepared by God for something extraordinary. The transition from being completely unknown to becoming a person of significant impact is rarely a slow, visible climb. Instead, it often manifests as a sudden and powerful eruption. You may have spent years in the background working without recognition, but the universe operates on a principle of accumulated energy that eventually demands a release. This sudden move is the moment when all your prayers, tears, and silent efforts converge into a single point of breakthrough. It is the divine tipping point where the weight of your preparation finally outweighs the resistance of your circumstances, causing the doors of opportunity to swing open with life-changing force. A sudden turnaround is characterized by a shift in reality that seems to defy the natural laws of time and effort. While others have spent their lives trying to build a reputation through networking and self-promotion, your elevation comes directly from a higher source, making it unexplainable by human logic. This is the anatomy of a miracle where a single phone call, a single meeting, or a single decision by an influential figure changes the trajectory of your life forever. To the outside world, it looks like luck or an overnight sensation. But you know it is the fulfillment of a promise that was made to you in the dark. Preparing your spirit for this overnight shift is just as important as the shift itself, because the suddenness of success can be overwhelming if you are not internally anchored. You must begin to carry yourself with the dignity of where you are going, rather than where you have been, shedding the skin of a victim and embracing the mantle of a leader. This mental shift creates a vacuum that the physical world must eventually fill with your new reality. When you align your internal frequency with the impact you are destined to make, the external world has no choice but to mirror that transformation. Obscurity was never your final destination. It was merely the womb where your true identity was formed and protected. Now that the gestation period is over, the birth of your purpose will be both painful for your old self and glorious for your new self. The impact you are about to have will be far-reaching, touching lives you haven't even met yet and solving problems that once seemed insurmountable. You are stepping into a season where your presence alone changes the atmosphere of a room, because you carry the weight of someone who has been tested in the fire and emerged pure. The grand reveal of your purpose serves as a beacon of hope for everyone else who feels stuck in their own season of waiting. Your life becomes a living proof that the timing of the divine is perfect and that being hidden is not the same as being forgotten. As you step into the light, the impact you make will not just be about personal gain, but about fulfilling a mission that was written for you before the beginning of time. This is the moment you were born for, and the suddenness of the turnaround will be the ultimate testament to the power that has been working through you all along. Vindication is the moment God steps into the narrative to settle the score on your behalf, especially in front of those who predicted your downfall. There is a specific kind of justice that occurs when the very people who counted you out are forced to witness your elevation from the front row. You do not need to argue, defend yourself, or explain your journey to those who misunderstood you. Your results will provide all the commentary necessary. The table is being prepared for you in the presence of your enemies, not for the sake of pride, but to demonstrate that no human opposition can stop a divine appointment. Those who watched you struggle and assumed your silence was a sign of defeat are about to be shocked by the sheer scale of your success. Their mockery was based on a limited view of your situation, but God's view was comprehensive, seeing the victory at the end of the tunnel. When the shift occurs, the power dynamics will change instantly, and those who once looked down on you will find themselves looking up in awe. This is not about seeking revenge, but about the natural consequence of being chosen. Those who oppose you eventually find themselves opposing the very force that sustains you. Your success will act as a silent answer to every rumor, every doubt, and every lie that was whispered behind your back during your years of preparation. You don't have to use your voice to correct the record because your lifestyle, your peace, and your achievements will do the talking for you. There is a profound satisfaction in knowing that while they were busy talking about you, you were busy growing. And while they were judging your present, God was preparing your future. Their disbelief is the ultimate validation that what has happened in your life is beyond human capability. The watchers in your life, those who monitor your progress just to see if you will fail, are about to receive a lesson in the sovereignty of the divine. They expected you to break under the pressure of the wilderness, but instead, the pressure turned you into a diamond. Every cold shoulder you received and every door that was slammed in your face was a setup for a public honor that no one can take away. God uses the observation of your critics to magnify His glory, showing that He can take the most overlooked person and make them the most essential. Staying humble during this period of vindication is what will allow your influence to last for generations. While it is tempting to gloat, the truly chosen understand that their elevation is a responsibility, not just a reward. You are being vindicated so that you can move forward with a clean slate, free from the baggage of past rejection and the weight of other people's opinions. You are now entering a space where the only voice that matters is the one that called you out of the shadows, and your victory is the final period at the end of a long sentence of struggle. The weight of your calling is determined by the size of the territory you are destined to conquer. You cannot carry a heavy burden without the proper skeletal structure, and the weight is where that spiritual bone density is built. Every trial you faced was not an obstacle to your destiny, but a weight training session designed to ensure you do not collapse under the pressure of the upcoming blessing. You are being prepared to carry a level of influence that would crush an untrained spirit, which is why the process could not be rushed. Many are gifted, but few have the character to sustain what their gift brings them. This prolonged waiting period is the crucible where your ego is stripped away and replaced with a resilient integrity. This ensures that when you are finally elevated, your foundation is made of rock rather than sand, allowing you to remain standing while others might fall victim to the traps of sudden fame or power. The weight was the only way to forge a heart that remains humble in the palace after being tested in the wilderness. Just as a skyscraper requires deep excavations, before it can ascend toward the clouds, your life required deep emotional and spiritual digging. The years that felt lost were actually spent laying the invisible infrastructure of patience, wisdom, and discernment. Without this internal work, the external success would have no anchor, leaving you vulnerable to every wind of change and every critic's voice. You are now a structure capable of reaching heights that others can only dream of because your roots go deeper than theirs. The weight was also necessary to give you the scars that will eventually become your credentials. You cannot lead people through fires you have not walked through yourself, and you cannot offer comfort for pains you have never felt. Your struggle has equipped you with a specialized kind of wisdom and empathy that makes your future impact authentic and deeply rooted in reality. You are not just a messenger, you are the message, and your history of survival is what will give you authority in the eyes of those you are sent to help. Looking back, you will eventually realize that if the breakthrough had come any sooner, you would not have been ready to manage the complexity of your new reality. The timing was orchestrated to align your internal readiness with the external opportunity. The weight of the calling is indeed heavy, but the weight has made you strong enough to carry it with grace and an unshakable sense of purpose. You are no longer just a candidate for greatness. You are a proven vessel ready to be poured out for a higher cause. Breaking the spirit of stagnation begins with a conscious decision to stop identifying with your delays. For too long you have defined yourself by your waiting, but that season is officially over. You must shed the forgotten garment and begin to dress your soul in the expectation of movement. Realizing that the paralysis you felt was a spiritual illusion designed to keep you from claiming your inheritance. The moment you stop seeing yourself as stuck is the moment the chains of the past lose their grip on your future. There is a shift in the atmosphere when stagnation breaks, and it starts with a restless energy within your own spirit. You begin to outgrow your current environment and lose interest in the things that used to occupy your time. These are not signs of confusion, but spiritual signals that your current container is too small for the person you have become. The walls are not closing in, you are simply getting bigger, and the pressure you feel is the necessary friction required to launch you into your next dimension. Breaking stagnation requires you to actively replace the spirit of heaviness with the garment of favor. You must speak life into your dead situations and command your feet to move even before the path is fully visible. Stagnation feeds on passivity, but it trembles in the face of bold, faith-filled action. The moment you decide to take a single step forward, the universe begins to rearrange itself to accommodate your momentum, and the obstacles that once seemed like mountains begin to dissolve into dust. You are no longer in the waiting room. You are in the hallway leading to the throne room. The spirit of stagnation tries to convince you that this current state of quiet is permanent, but it is actually a transition point. By shifting your focus from what has not happened to what is about to happen, you break the energetic ties that have kept you anchored to the past. Your momentum is building behind the scenes, and the resistance you feel is just the breaking of the sound barrier before you reach a new speed. Once the spirit of stagnation is broken, you will find that things begin to happen with a supernatural ease that you haven't experienced in years. Relationships align, resources appear from unexpected places, and ideas flow with absolute clarity. This is the result of you finally being in sync with the divine rhythm of your life. The years of being held back are finished, and you are now entering a season of rapid acceleration where one victory will lead directly into the next without delay. Being an underdog is not a position of weakness but a strategic advantage in the divine economy. While those with pedigree and public support rely on their own resources, the underdog is forced to tap into a source of power that is not of this world. This total reliance on a higher force builds a spiritual muscle that the privileged never develop. You have been overlooked by people so that you could be prioritized by the universe, making you a secret weapon that no one saw coming until it was already too late to stop your momentum. The years you spent in the shadows were not wasted. They were the time when your secret strength was being forged. An underdog's greatest power lies in the fact that they are underestimated, allowing them to grow, learn, and master their craft without the scrutiny or pressure of public expectation. By the time the world notices you, you are already a finished product, fully equipped and ready to execute your purpose with a level of precision that shocks those who only saw your outer shell. Your hidden years are the very foundation of the authority you now carry. There is a specific glory that comes from choosing the person that everyone else rejected. It serves as a reminder that human criteria for success are often irrelevant in the grand design of destiny. When you are the unlikely candidate, your victory cannot be attributed to your connections, your family name, or your wealth. It can only be attributed to the divine hand that plucked you from obscurity. This makes your life a living testimony that shatters the status quo and inspires others who have been told they weren't enough. Your perceived weaknesses have actually been your greatest assets in disguise. The lack of resources forced you to be creative, the lack of support forced you to be resilient, and the lack of visibility forced you to be authentic. These traits are now the pillars of your success, and they are qualities that cannot be bought or faked. You are a secret weapon because you possess the internal grit that only comes from being the underdog who refused to give up, turning every no into fuel for your eventual yes. As you step into this next phase, embrace the fact that you were once the one no one bet on. The underdog story is the most powerful narrative because it proves that the last shall indeed be first. Your emergence is a tactical move in a much larger spiritual game, and your success is about to rewrite the rules of what is possible. You are the evidence that when the world forgets a person, the universe is often just beginning to prepare them for a role that will change everything. The concept of divine compensation is the promise that no season of suffering or sacrifice goes unnoticed by the Creator. You may feel as though you have lost years to trauma, waiting, or failed attempts. But the universe is a perfect accountant. There is a restoration coming that does not just bring you back to where you were, but accelerates you to where you should have been, if the struggle had never happened. The years the locusts have eaten are being returned to you with a compounding interest that will leave you in a state of absolute abundance. Divine math operates differently than human logic. It is capable of condensing decades of progress into a single year of favor. You might feel like you are behind your peers, but one sudden move of grace will put you light years ahead of where you could have gone on your own. This restoration is designed to be so complete that it wipes away the sting of the wilderness, replacing the memory of lack with the reality of an overflowing cup. You are moving into a time frame where the harvest is so great that it overtakes the one who is still sowing the seeds. Repayment is not just about material wealth or external success. It is about the restoration of your peace, your joy, and your sense of self-worth. Every tear you cried in secret was a seed planted in a spiritual garden that is now reaching full maturity. The emotional toll of the forgotten years is being compensated with a level of internal stability and happiness that is unshakable. You will look back on the hard times and realize they were just the down payment on a life of profound fulfillment that you are now stepping into. Receiving double for your trouble is a literal promise for the chosen who remained faithful during the drought. For every door that was closed, 2 better ones are about to open. For every person who walked away, a community of destiny helpers is being assigned to you. This is the season of the double portion, where the blessing is so significant that it covers your needs and provides enough to overflow into the lives of everyone around you. The scale of the compensation will be directly proportional to the depth of the sacrifice you made during your hidden years. You must prepare your heart to receive this surplus, as the transition from not enough to more than enough requires a new mindset. The days of survival are over, and the days of thriving have begun. As the restoration manifests, you will find that the time you thought was lost was actually time sent in a divine savings account, accruing value and preparing you to handle the weight of the massive compensation that is now yours. You were never losing time, you were simply investing it in a future that is now arriving in full force. Thank you for walking through this journey with me today at RationalDeen. Remember that the silence of your current season is not the silence of abandonment, but the silence of meticulous preparation. As the saying goes, the stars cannot shine without darkness, and your time in the shadows was simply the canvas for the brilliance you are about to display. I want to hear from you in the comments. What was the most powerful realization you had during this video? And how has your view of your waiting period shifted? If you have stayed with me until this very moment, I want you to comment the word shock down below. Writing this word not only shows that you are part of the dedicated few who finish what they start, but it also helps this message reach more people who feel lost and forgotten in their own wilderness. Your support through likes and comments is what allows this light to spread to those who need it most. You are never forgotten. You are simply being prepared for a divine reveal that will leave the world in awe. Until next time, stay grounded in your purpose and trust the process.